Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'm going to be working with you step by step through each of the ABRSM Theory grades. We're now going to begin grade 4 Theory, and this is where it really gets great. There's lots to get your teeth stuck into here, so I'm really looking forward to starting this. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you visit sharonbill.com, you will find some free PDF information sheets. They're available in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series. You will also find on that website a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can also access information about the books that I have available. I've written How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory exam, and this second book particularly relates to the preparation and exam time for your grades 4 and 5 exams. So if you visit sharonbill.com, it's all there for you. If you can give me a like, that'd be great. That'd be really encouraging to me, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's loads more to come. And so you need to grab a sharp pencil. I use a mechanical pencil just to make sure it stays sharp. You will need an eraser. I'm pretty certain you will need an eraser, and you will need a ruler. And so let's get cracking straight away with the first section. So if you turn with me to page 4, we're going to be looking at time signatures, and this relates to the PDF document grade 4 section A. And so if you want to just get hold of that document, there's lots of information in there to help you. So I'm just going to write in section A to help you. And so we're looking even further now into much greater detail into time signatures. We've now got lots and lots of time signatures, and we're going to be looking at simple time and compound time. Up until now, you've perhaps got used to thinking that compound time is over 8. However, that's not necessarily the case. And if we just refer to the PDF document, you can see that both 3/8 and 4/8 are in simple time. That means that they divide into 2s, not into 3s. 3/8 doesn't work in compound time because a bar of just one dotted crochet beat per bar isn't feasible. So we divide that into 3 separate beats. And also 4/8 doesn't work in compound time. Mathematically, it just doesn't divide by 3. We can't have a 3 and a 1. And so we divide that into 2s. Therefore, that is also simple time. We've also got some new time signatures. If you just turn over the page, we're now going to be counting in semiquavers or 16th notes. And we can tell that just by the fractions of how the notes divide. And so this fraction number of how we've divided into 16 notes for semiquavers or 8 notes for quavers, this bottom number gives us our time signature unit that we'll be counting in. And so just keep referring back to these sections just to clarify that information. Oftentimes there's a bit of ambiguity in terms of what time signature to choose. Mathematically, for example, 4/8 and 2/4 works out the same, so we could choose either of those time signatures. However, it doesn't work out exactly the same in performance terms, because if we're counting it in 2/4, we've got 2 main beats, 2 accents per bar. Whereas if we're counting it in 4/8, we've got 4 accents or 4 beats per bar. And so in performance terms, it will translate differently. However, mathematically, we could choose either of those. And so really, it's just a matter of counting. So we could be counting in quaver beats with 8. We could be counting in crotchet beats or quarter notes with 4. We could also be counting in semiquaver beats with number 16 at the bottom. So we'll just come across that as it arrives. And so exercise 1 isn't really that tricky. It just asks us to complete the time signature in each of these extracts. And so we've just got to count carefully in the unit that they've given us. So for example, here we're counting in 8th notes or quaver beats. We've got to make sure we count how many of those per bar. And you can see 1, 2, 3. Because a crotchet or a quarter note divides into 2, and then half as much again gives us another one into 3, and so on. So we've just got to count the maths carefully. And so let's look at the first example that we need to answer. I do suggest that you have a go of these on your own first of all. Don't just copy me working through it. It's much better for you to try it yourself. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. It's okay. That's the best way to learn. You learn better by your mistakes. So have a go of this first exercise and then come back into the video and we'll work through this together. And so I'm hoping that you've done that. Let's look at exercise 1A, and we know we're counting in eighth notes or quaver beats, and we've just got to do the maths and work out how many. And we can see that we've got one here, they add up to 1, they add up to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 8. Choose any bar apart from the last bar, because that's not complete. When it says etc., that last bar is not complete. But any other bar, choose the easiest one, and then you can just work out your math. So 4, 8. Look at the next one. And so now we are in crotchet beats or quarter notes, and I think this bar here is the easiest, and we can see that 2 quavers, 2 eighth notes makes a crotchet. Same again, so 1, 2 crotchet beats, 2 quarter notes per bar. Okie dokie, let's turn over the page to continue. And so we're on page 5. And so we're still counting in quaver beats for this one, like we did in A. And so let's see how many quaver beats. I think this bar is the best one because we've got 1 quaver beat or eighth note, 1 there, and that is a rest equivalent of a quaver or an eighth note. So 1, 2, 3 over 8. There we go. And then this last exercise, we're counting in quaver beats again or eighth notes. I think this last bar is perhaps the easiest one to count in. So 2 semiquavers or 2 16th notes makes a quaver. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 8. And that's that done. And so now we're going to look at how to rewrite rhythms by changing the unit value. We've done this in previous grades, so there's nothing new here, but we will be dealing with some new time signatures. So at present, the exercise that we've got here in exercise 2 is counting in 4 crotchet beats or 4 quarter notes per bar. And they're asking us to rewrite without changing the effect. We're just halving everything because we're going from 4 crotchets to 4 quavers or 4 eighth notes, and so we've got to halve everything. And so now, instead of a minim, which is 2 crotchet beats, we've got a crotchet, which is 2 quaver beats. So everything's going to be halved. So let's continue in that vein. So these are quavers or eighth notes, and so we need to change those to 16th notes, and we can still beam all of those together. Use my ruler. There we go. And so this will be now, instead of a crotchet or a quarter note, that will be an eighth or a quaver. That will be on its own, and that will be a quaver rest, an eighth note rest. And so we need a bar line. So now we're going to have to just change the way that we beam this, because we've got, this will become a quaver, an eighth note and 2 semiquavers. And if you remember the rule right the way back from grade 1, we group these together in a unit. And then here, all of these are going to be together, but now they're all going to be semiquavers or 16th notes, with the exception of this one, which will need yet another beam adding onto it to make it into a demi-semiquaver. So that's now going to require 2 lines to halve it. That will be dotted, and then we need to add another one. There we go. Now that's 2 crotchet beats, 2 quarter notes, which is a minim or a half note, and so that will now become a crotchet, which is worth 2 quavers or 2 eighth notes. And then we have the same equivalent in a rest there. Don't forget the bar line at the end. There we go. So I hope that you've had a go of that yourself first. If you haven't, now perhaps you'll feel brave enough to try this next one where we're going the other way. So have a little go of that and then we'll work through it together. So I'm hoping you've had a little go of that yourself. If it is that you're not sure, just refer also to the PDF document and you can see that I've given you an example there as well. The top number never changes. These are in quadruple time, so are these. So we don't change how many beats per bar, we just change the type of beat. So here we're going from a quaver or an eighth note to a crotchet, and so we can tell that we're doubling everything in value. I think I'll just map out my bar lines straight away, and so we're going to be doubling everything, and so that now becomes a minim or a half note, that becomes a crotchet rest or quarter note rest. So to double these we just remove one of those beams, and so it becomes a triplet still, but it's a triplet of 3 quaver beats, 3 eighth notes. Just check that your maths adds up. 1, 2, 3, 3 in the time of 2 makes another one, that's 4. So just check your maths as you go along that it does add up to this time signature. And so now we're not going to need a beam here because we've gone from a semiquaver or a 16th note to a quaver or an eighth note, and then here we've gone from a quaver to a crotchet, so that doesn't need a beam at all, there's no little tail on that. Back to another quaver, and so here that will become a crotchet, that will become a quaver rest, that will become a quaver note, so we can't join any of those together. So now instead of a dotted crotchet, dotted quaver or dotted eighth note, that becomes a dotted crotchet or a dotted quarter note, and then we still add the dot of course, and then we just lose one of those beams to double it, and that becomes 2 semiquavers, 2 16th notes. And then here we've got 4 semiquavers, and so they lose a beam and they become 4 quavers to double that in value. I think I'll use a ruler, just keep it neat and tidy. It's best to stay neat and tidy, that way you avoid unnecessary mistakes. Okay, so here instead of a dotted quaver or dotted eighth note, we need a dotted crotchet or a dotted quarter note. Doubling in value, we lose a little beam here, and that becomes a quaver or an eighth note, and we can see there's 1 1/2 plus a half in this new value of crotchet beats. So that's a crotchet doubling up, and that's a crotchet rest. There we go, that's completed. We have some new rules to think about when we are beaming each of the times, so just read this little section here, but in essence we're just doubling everything and carrying those beaming values forwards. Let's move on to the next exercise. Add bar lines to these extracts. Apart from A, every extract will start on the first beat of the bar. So we've got an anacrusis here, we've got an upbeat. They've given us that first little bar line, so now everything's going to be full bars. And all we've got to do is get our maths right, counting 4 quaver beats or 4 eighth notes per bar. So it's just a matter of working out where our quaver beats are. We've got 1 there and 1 there. So that makes 2 quaver beats. There's another 2 quaver beats. And so 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our bar line. So bearing in mind how we've just worked that out, we know there's 1 quaver beat, there's another quaver beat. So altogether that makes 2 quaver beats. There's another quaver beat, there's another quaver beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm giving us a lot of room for a bar line there, never mind. 1 quaver beat there, 1 quaver beat there, quaver, quaver there, and so there's our 4. 1 quaver beat, 1 quaver beat, 1 quaver beat, and then we know we're correct. There's our bar line. So that's now complete. So let's turn over the page. So if you turn with me to page 6, we can carry on. Now here we come to our new time signature of over 60, so we're now counting in semiquavers or 16th notes. So the principle remains the same, we're just counting in much shorter units. So we've got to count 6 semiquavers or 6 16th notes per bar, which isn't particularly difficult, it's just new. So we know that 1 quaver or 1/8 note divides into 2 semiquavers or 2 16th notes. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's our bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's another bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we know we're correct, ending on the end. There's no etc. here, so we know that that should be a complete bar. Let's carry on. So now we're counting in 9/4. So we've got to count 9 crotchet beats or 9 quarter notes. Don't forget rests as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, 8, 9. There we go. So don't forget that dot is 1.5 crochet beats. There's our remaining half. So just don't get confused with your maths there. Let's carry on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. And don't forget rests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we've ended up correctly at the end, just right. Next one. Let's work through this together. I'm hoping you've had a go of this yourself, and let's check through this together now. So we're counting again in 16ths or semiquavers. We've got to count 9 semiquavers, 9 16ths per bar. 1, 2, 3. That divides into 2. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Now then, here that divides 1, 2 semiquavers there, and then half as much again gives us another one. So there's our group of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. And hopefully we're about right for this last bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. Just a matter of counting carefully. Now this last one, we're counting 6 crochet beats or 6 quarter notes per bar. So here we have a rest which is worth 2, 1, 2, and then these 2 quavers or 8th notes add up to another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's our bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the dot. There's our other bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's another one. 1, 2. Those 2 quavers, 8th notes make another one. 3, 4, 5, 6 with the dot. And we're just right at the end of the extract. There we go. I hope that's been helpful to you. We will continue with the next exercise in the next video. Please do visit sharonbill.com. There's lots of information for you there. Please do make use of all that free resource. And if you can give me a like, that'd be fab. Please subscribe to my channel. There's loads more to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.